Hello, welcome back here into Caden's Weather Center. Today is September 8th, 2025. Continuing to pay attention here to a severe weather threat that is expected to bring some possibility for large hail to the central part of the United States. That does include Texas, Oklahoma, as well as Kansas. And continuing to also pay attention to the central Pacific here for the Hawaiian Islands as Hurricane Kiko now makes more of a northern turn. So expected to miss the Hawaiian Islands, but that doesn't mean that the beach conditions will not be rough there for the next couple of days in northern Hawaii. And also continuing to pay attention to the Atlantic as the hurricane season peak is just in 2 days away from this video. So right now we're going to talk about why is the Atlantic so quiet, and we're going to jump right into the video. So let's kind of look at what we're looking at around the United States right now. Well, we can clearly see we do have that, that severe weather threat that's going to be kind of forming here on the back end of this storm. We know that the severe weather threat today is not really going into parts of northern Kansas. That's kind of just rainfall, but this line of thunderstorms right here definitely is posing a little bit of a threat right there. Not as bad this morning, but expecting into the evening hours, we could be seeing some pretty big thunderstorms activity going on into parts of northeastern Texas here, going through the Oklahoma Panhandle as well as into Kansas. But definitely some heavy amounts of rainfall continuing to fall in parts of central Kansas as well. Taking a look at Florida, what are we looking at? Well, we're seeing obviously once again, we do have a low pressure that's kind of sitting right off here of the coast of Florida, and that is bringing a lot of rainfall here to the U.S. coast here of Florida, and we're also seeing a lot of that rainfall also on the East Coast, but mostly staying out to sea right now. But that is expected to change as we go on to later today. We're going to be seeing a lot of this rain kind of moving inward here through to the West Coast, so that's something to continue to pay attention to, as it is going to be very wet here over the next few days here in the Florida Peninsula. So taking a look right now, currently this morning, what are we looking at on the IR satellite? Well, we could clearly see there's that convection kind of blowing up with our severe weather threat that we're expecting later today. We're going to be seeing a low pressure system kind of off the coast here of the western part of the United States. That could bring some rain chances here into parts of northern California as well as parts of western Oregon later on. Maybe heading into tomorrow. And then we obviously see that there is some convection and maybe a little bit of a spin out there in the Gulf of America there, as well as really continuing to kind of pay attention to just all of that convection and all those, that cold frontal line off the coast of the United States there. So taking a look at the severe weather threat today, what are we expecting? Well, this is our marginal risk kind of stretching into central part of Kansas down here into parts of the whole panhandle of Texas. And then our slight weather risk is a little bit more, kind of in the center of that, but that does include parts of the northeastern part of the Texas Panhandle, as well as the Oklahoma Panhandle, as well as the southwestern part of Kansas, and that is obviously due to the storms that are going to be starting to form later today. The tornado threat is 2% chance here, so not a big chance, but definitely still has that possibility for a possible, isolated tornado here at times. The wind threat, 5% in that marginal risk, genuine area here, so we could be seeing some gusty winds with these lines of thunderstorms that we're expecting. But our biggest concern will be the hail, and we do actually have a small hail threat continuing on over here in parts of northern Minnesota or central Minnesota here, as well as northeastern South Dakota and even southeastern North Dakota there. But you see this dashed line area, that is for the possibility for some pretty big hail, some significant hail right in that genuine area here where the 15% chance is. That could be some pretty big hail here later on in the future when it comes to that. And now we obviously know here for the next 12 hours, what are we looking at with those rainfall chances? Well, we obviously know that the rain chances are kind of mid here in the central part of the United States. We obviously know that Florida, you guys are at about an 80-90% chance here of rainfall, as well as parts of Oregon and parts of maybe even parts of northwestern California as well. Taking a look at that, 36 hours out, we can clearly see Florida, you're still going to be at that, but we're going to be paying attention to the northwest here as well as Florida, and we kind of just continue to see those rainfall chances just really start to, kind of jump up and down here over the next week for Florida, but then really kind of change as we head into later this week here for the Midwest. We see the rain chances start to rise up with that rain system. But taking a look right now here at the future radar, what are we looking at? Well, we can clearly see that this morning we obviously do see that severe weather threat possibility continuing on this morning here as we head into this afternoon. Expected to kind of deteriorate, but definitely as we head into maybe 1-2 o'clock, we could be expecting some of these storms right here to be kind of more severe this afternoon as we head into early afternoon. Then that will start to dissipate as we head into the overnight hours. You can kind of just see it'll just kind of a rainfall thing for eastern Kansas there, so we kind of can pay attention to that. Now also we could see as we head into tomorrow morning, we see a little bit more of something kind of trying to not form, but some kind of maybe severe weather threat that could possibly be impacting parts of eastern Kansas as well as western Missouri here. We could be seeing maybe something slight Probably a marginal severe thunderstorm risk, but we'll continue to pay attention to that just in case. Taking a look at this, we do have that low pressure that is in the Gulf here, and that's putting a lot of moisture here into the state of Florida. And we're going to see that obviously as we go on. We're going to see as we head into tomorrow, we're going to be seeing a lot of that, it's kind of like a bunch of rain bands that kind of goes through the central and eastern part of Florida here and really is impacting the west coast. But other than that, relatively, everyone else is pretty fairly quiet. We obviously do have some rain chances going on throughout today for majority of the people that are dealing with the severe weather threat, as well as parts of the south. So we're going to continue to pay attention to that. Now let's take a look here at the National Hurricane Center for the Eastern Pacific side. We can definitely see Hurricane Kiko expected to continue to move off to the northwest now this morning. Is moving northwest. We have a tropical wave that could possibly head out over here into the out to sea here. 30% chance there of formation as this storm is kind of just got off the coast here of Central America. So something to continue to pay attention to with the formation chances. Now taking a look at Hurricane Kiko this morning, obviously we can see a lot of that convection now starting to be on the northern part of the storm here as it's racing into those cooler temperature waters. So obviously we know that we're going to be seeing some weakening here. Right now we're at 100-mile-an-hour category 2 hurricane, moving northwest at 14. So now it has taken a little bit more of a northwestward jog. That's going to keep the islands from seeing any significant impacts. But I would definitely say as we see Tuesday and Wednesday, that's when we're going to be seeing some pretty big beach conditions here from the storm. Even though it's going to be a tropical storm, we definitely could be seeing maybe some no swimming zones in this area, just because this is a tropical system that's going to be going well to the north, but that we know that the waves will be pretty big here for the Hawaiian Islands for that. Now expecting this storm to possibly just become a tropical storm here as we head into later today. We're expecting it really to just rapidly decrease in strength as it starts to head into more unfavorable environment, and especially with its faster moving speed here at 14 miles an hour, we're expecting it obviously early Tuesday. We could be seeing those beach conditions really starting to deteriorate here for the Hawaiian Islands. Taking a look at the GFS model, we could see the GFS brings it well off to the north here for this hurricane. We could see that a little off on the intensity, I would say, this morning. Actually pretty on set there, but definitely is going to rapidly weaken there, kind of go around the high pressure that goes up to the north, but it keeps it relatively north and doesn't bring too many impacts there. Euro model, same thing, kind of brings it off. I think this one's had a little bit of issues with kind of keeping track here of the intensity. Now the European does bring it in a little bit more off to the north than the GFS, but even as a stronger system here than what the GFS was thinking, but the Euro has not been the best with the intensity forecast on this storm. But kind of brings it over and just keeps it off to the west, and then does make its way well away from the Hawaiian Islands, and then really starts to die down here as we head into early next week and maybe even into this weekend. Now taking a look at the Atlantic side, as we know the peak of the hurricane season here is in the next 2 days. We have nothing active currently right now in the Atlantic side. Taking a look at the GFS model run here, the 6Z, we could obviously see low pressure kind of sitting out in the Gulf. Nothing marked by the National Hurricane Center, but that is something that we're continuing to pay attention to as we're seeing a lot of that moisture due to a stalled cold front continuing to go into the Florida Peninsula there, and that's something that the GFS has picked up on, as well as another low pressure system right there off the east coast here of North Carolina that will race off to the northeast. Now the GFS, I will say, has been pretty consistent on something kind of forming in this general area here, either in the Western Caribbean or maybe even parts of Central America. We could be seeing a spin up and then eventually starts to get pulled off to the north here. So big questions are on the table there. We don't have anything marked by the National Hurricane Center, but we know that the GFS is picking up on a low pressure system there, and if we take a look actually at it, we kind of can see with this, we could see it gets pulled off to a little bit more off to the northeast there, and we can see that it's a 995 millibar there, so maybe a high-end tropical storm, and then eventually kind of makes its way up to the northern Gulf coast there. But once again, this is nothing marked by the National Hurricane Center, so this is not a forecast or anything like that. But if this was to happen and it does go in the Gulf, someone could be impacted from this storm, so we'll keep an eye on that very closely as well. The European model, what are we taking a look at that? Still, kind of agreeing with that low pressure system right off the west coast here of Florida. We see that, and we're expecting a possible. Now the European isn't picking up on anything really that is kind of with the Central America I think even with the 00Z wasn't picking up on anything major kind of forming in that Central America zone where the GFS was. Relatively quiet actually in that area according to the European model. So the GFS really is something to, pay attention to, but obviously right now we have nothing marked, so let's not be too concerned about it. Taking a look right now, as we head into next week, we can see September 10th through the 16th. For the tropics, we can obviously see we have that tropical development possible here in parts of the Bahamas region going into the Western Gulf here, and then a possible area right off the tropical waves that are coming off Africa. Then we head into a little bit later into September. Now this will be updated in the next video tomorrow here for Tuesdays. This always updates here on Tuesdays, but we can definitely see right here another possibility here for that week of some formation in that chances right there. But obviously our main chances for development will be in the central MDR right there as we start to head into October. Getting closer and closer to that. Now, taking a look here at the peak of the hurricane season, we obviously know September 10th will be this day, the peak of the hurricane season there, and then we'll eventually make our slow way down. We haven't, we've been relatively quiet this season so far, but we know that we're going to be seeing a lot more action going downhill here after September 10th than we saw going uphill right there. So definitely don't keep your eyes off the tropics here, even though we have nothing active. Make sure you're continuing to stay updated with that. Taking a look at the forecast for tomorrow and today, well, we're going to be seeing some high temperatures continuing on over here, kind of really through the eastern part of the United States. Relatively nice 75 70s there, with the lower 60s over here in parts of the northeast for the high temperatures. As we head into tomorrow, we're going to be seeing a little bit more of a heat up kind of continuing on over here in parts of the central part of the United States, bringing those temperatures really into Kentucky, bringing them into the 80s here, but kind of keeping the temperatures pretty nice here on the East Coast. And then you head into day 3 on Wednesday. That's when we're going to start to see those heat wave kind of really start to build up here over the central United States, and that will eventually make its way off here to the eastern United States, but then we start to see a little bit of a cool down here in the northwestern part of the United States there. Taking a look at the low temperatures, we could definitely see some pretty nice low temperatures continuing on in the northeast as well as the Ohio Valley. We're seeing some nice low temperatures there. That is expected to heat up as well as we head into the next couple of days. We're going to be seeing those temperatures start to heat up as well, and then really as we start to head in maybe even to this weekend, cooler temperatures for the low temperatures will be really going through the western part of the United States there. But I do want to say thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoy this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and if you do have any questions about any weather going around the United States at all right now at this time, I will try to do my best to answer them. Just make sure to leave it down in the comments down below. As well, also follow my X page down in the description for more frequent updates here on the tropics as well as the severe weather threats that are continuing on. And I hope to see you guys in the next video. Make sure you stay safe out there, and bye-bye.